Welcome to Real Estate Exposed, helping people in San Diego buy, sell, and refinance their biggest investment, delivering you timely truths, exposing important issues, and helping you get into the right home. Here are your hosts, real estate expert Daniel Beer, top-ranked professional by sales volume at one of San Diego's largest brokerages, and his mortgage partner, Todd Pianin, with over $2 billion in funded loans.
Good morning, everybody. This is a nice Sunday morning, the start of daylight savings time. My normal co-host, Dan Beer from Windermere Homes and Estates, is out of town today, so we didn't get a chance. He's not going to be in the studio today to answer questions and talk about everything that's been going on. But we, last week we were fortunate enough to have Brian Danny from his team here. But today we've got the best special guest that we've had on. We've had him on in the past, but today we're really going to dig into everything that we can about Windermere Homes and Estates. We have one of the founders and owners of Windermere Homes and Estates, Rich Johnson. How are you, Rich? I'm
great, Todd. Thank you for having me, and I'm not sure about being the best, but thank you for saying that.
You are. You're always a great guest when you come in, Rich. You always you do what this show is all about, which is really talk about real estate and really know what's going on. And the cool thing is that Dan and I, we're on a transactional level when we do stuff, because we do, Dan's going to do somewhere close to probably 100 to 120 transactions this year. We'll do, as a bank, we'll probably do somewhere, close to, let's call it a couple hundred transactions, 300, 400, 500 transactions. But you really know what's going on in the marketplace. So today you're in for a special treat, folks, that we got Rich here. He's going to talk all about what's going on in the marketplace. He's going to talk about Windermere. He's going to talk about all that kind of stuff. But let's talk about the most important thing that I really liked today, which was the extra hour of sleep. How'd you feel about that, Rich?
Hey, that is awesome.
That was great, wasn't it?
That's the one thing that I really like about it getting dark earlier, is that you get that extra hour.
Oh, I love that.
And I needed it.
Oh. Well, you've been working really hard. I mean, for those of you who don't know, and we'll talk about it a little later in the show, but I mean, Windermere Homes and Estates is growing by leaps and bounds. And, that Rich will tell you all about it after the break, but we've got some, unbelievable, exciting things to talk about. But Rich, I know that you're a sport nut, and I know that you are a big San Diego Charger fan. How do you feel about what's going on with the stadium and stuff like that?
Oh, it's to me, it's really depressing. I mean, all the signs are out there that the Chargers are leaving. They had the town hall meeting the other night. I think that only 450 people showed up, and the consensus was that it was, a bunch of fans getting things off their chest, and nobody likes Mark Fabiani anymore. But it seems a foregone conclusion that we're going to lose him. Although, if a miracle happens and we can get something done with the stadium, we can keep a 50-year-old tradition here alive, and that would be great. But looks like L.A. bound for the Chargers. Well,
but the rumor is that St. Louis is really going to take that spot, right? I mean, that's what the Rams are they're in first position. I know that the Chargers filed an intent to move to L.A. I don't see L.A. being able to support two teams.
It's hard to say, but the one thing that it does appear to be true is that the Carson project appears to be a ruse. There's no way that's going to happen. I think Stan Kroenke obviously has the most money and the easiest way to get to L.A., and I think he would be the NFL's first choice. But a better scenario, which I was listening to on our sister station here, 1360, is just to put an expansion team in here and keep all the teams in their respective markets, and let's just get some stadium deals done.
That would be great. That was my next question. Do you think that we would be able to get an expansion team? I mean, if the Spanos family moves the team to another market,
we're not going to get any team here, expansion or otherwise, in my opinion, unless we have a stadium. So nobody's coming.
So we got to get that stadium done.
Yeah,
that's really what we got to get done. And I think we have a possibility of getting that stadium done. It sounds like. I mean, the mayor put forth a bill, and then what did I see? I thought I saw something about a tax or something to help pay for it.
Yeah, there's a lot of different proposals out there. I think the best thing that I've seen is the new video that came out about the new stadium. The city put out a couple of days back.
Right.
Really looked good, narrated by Dick Enberg. It really put a good foot forward. and it really illustrated why San Diego is a Super Bowl destination. So it would be an absolute shame to lose them.
It would be a big shame. Even though, as listeners know, I'm a big Dallas Cowboys fan. So, I would be very disappointed to see the Chargers go, because it's one less thing that the city will have to offer, and we're such a great city that people don't realize that the support we have for our teams is unbelievable. I mean, the Padres, the Chargers. We just, everybody it's a huge supporter. I mean, even my 7-year-old son, who he knows that I'm a very big Dallas Cowboys fan. Because he's been born and raised here in San Diego. He's a Chargers fan. So and I think that the players that have done great things for the city as well. So I know that you and I both missed the GOP debates on CNBC, but I did watch the Biden 60-minute interview, and the numbers in the polls seem to be dropping a little bit for my favorite candidate, which is Mr. Trump, because I love his tax plan.
Yep.
I think it's great. It'd be great for the economy, but I did hear through some other sources that Ted Cruz actually did a good job in the debate, and I think that. I still want the Donald, though, Rich. Yeah. I still want the Donald.
I heard Cruz and Rubio both did a pretty good job, although neither one of them really excites me at all. Trump is interesting because of his business experience. It seems like he could come in and get some things done, but with all the controversy around his remarks about women and things like that, oh boy.
Yeah, but we've talked about on this show, which I don't know if recently you heard, he's now got Ivanka, his daughter, out on the bully pulpit talking for him, and she's a pretty amazing young woman.
Yes, she is. That's probably a good move for him.
It's a great move, and I think he's very calculated on what he's doing and putting her out there in front of the public. I kind of believe that we got a good shot.
Yeah.
I mean, getting the women vote, getting the millennial vote, getting the people out there that don't necessarily vote.
Yeah,
because she's out there.
Well, bringing it back around to our business, it would probably be a good thing for real estate in general if Trump came in.
Well, it would be a great thing because he owns so much real estate, right? So,
absolutely.
I mean, that he's going to make sure that the tax laws and everything else is going to be favorable to, real estate. Entrepreneurial real estate, all that kind of stuff. We love having you this morning. I'm really happy to have Rich Johnson here. When we come back after the break, we're going to really ask questions about Windermere Homes and Estates, what's been going on with them. You're listening to Real Estate Exposed on KOGO 600 AM. Thank you for spending your Sunday morning, and we'll be right back after the break. Welcome back, San Diego, on this great Sunday, beautiful Sunday morning with the extra hour of sleep at daylight savings time. My co-host, Dan Beer, is on vacation, but we've got the privilege, the pleasure to have Rich Johnson, one of the founders and owners of Windermere Homes and Estates, in the studio this morning. And I'm going to ask him some questions, and we're going to just sit back and let you learn all about Windermere and why Dan Beer, one of the top realtors in the county, has picked Windermere as where he sells his real estate, and that's why you listen to the show. You listen to me, Todd Piana from Home Street Bank, and Dan Beer. But we've got the owner, one of the founders of Windermere Homes and Estates. So, Rich, you've been in your career, you've been kind of all over the. You've been in real estate. Real estate's been in your blood from the beginning.
Yeah, my dad was a home builder.
So,
I grew up in the industry.
So,
I was picking up nails when I was 5 or 6 years old. So I grew up in it, and my oldest brother became a partner with my dad in his company, and my dad built lots of properties up in the LA area, which is where I'm from. Then my other brother became a property developer in the late 80s, and I worked with him, and that's really kind of how I started in my real estate career was working with my brother on doing some stuff with him on the properties that he was developing and selling. So, yeah, it's been in my blood since the beginning, and I love real estate. I think it's the greatest business to be in, and it's different every day, which is great. It's fun.
So you guys just celebrated basically your third year anniversary?
No, we're 27 months in right now, so a little over 2 years.
And we got and you had a big party with Josh Altman from $1 Million Listing came down.
We did. We had a great event. We called it "Welcome to the Real Estate Jungle."
Right.
We had it last month in at Morgan Run.
Right.
And Josh and his brother and team were kind enough to come down, be our special guests. We had lunch with him. And he gave a really good talk to agents that went over really well. Agents were really surprised to learn what a good guy he is.
Yes,
yeah. Because on the show, he's tough.
He is tough, and we had the pleasure of having him on the radio show as well. And he was he was a good guy. I was really, really impressed.
Yeah, he is, and the show, the drama is part of the show. They need drama to, for viewers and things like that, but. He's a truly excellent realtor. He just came out with his new book, which we plugged on the show. And,
right.
And it was a fun event. We had a great time.
Yeah. Which one of the things that I want to talk about, let's back up a little bit, because that's one of the things I love about your company, Rich, is you're so agent centric, right? You do things for your agents that a lot of the other big box real estate companies don't do. Meaning, Josh ain't cheap. And you put on an incredible event, and you did that, and it wasn't a recruiting event, or it wasn't an event to like just talk about how great you are. And a lot of these owners of these real estate companies, when they put these events together or they do stuff, they talk about how great they are. But you really were. It was agent centric. You didn't even run that meeting. But I want to back up 27 months.
Okay.
So 27 months ago, which is probably, let's call it 30 months ago, what made you and your partner, Brian Gooding, decide that it was time to change the way things were done here in San Diego?
Well, I think I've owned a few different companies in my career, and I've always been an agent at heart, so to speak. Mm-hmm. I've been in the trenches. I've sold real estate. My wife is an active realtor, although not that active.
She's active. She sent us a couple deals. We've got 2 deals with her right now.
She sells a few houses a year, mostly friends and family type things.
Right.
But the bottom line is that we felt that the big box companies, so to speak, corporately owned, took their eye off the ball. The bottom line is the agents are what propel any company in the real estate space. And it's become more and more highly competitive, and agents, with technology evolving the way it has, they have different needs than they did before. And I think you really just have to focus as an owner of a real estate company on what the agent's needs are. And if you're not fulfilling those needs, those agents are going to look for other companies. Or they're going to look for somebody that can help them solve whatever their issue is.
So let's a question though. Your partner was in the Caribbean 30 months ago, sipping on rum and having a good old time, selling running a multi-million-dollar sales team there. And what did you guys, how did this all kind of come about?
Well, Brian and I had worked together in the past for a number of years, and he had an opportunity to go to the Caribbean for a second time in his career.
Right.
Which he did. And, he enjoyed it. But I think, after a while you get a little bit of island fever. Right. And the opportunity to grow and start, grow, and develop our own real estate company in San Diego was a very attractive thing to him. And so, a phone call and several Skype meetings later, Brian was back in the States and we were off and running.
And I got to believe that was, besides the fact that people don't realize that Rich Johnson's been, he's probably one of the best owners, and Brian Gooding are probably 2 of the best owners I've ever done business with. And I think that you should too, if you're thinking about getting in real estate. If you're already selling real estate and you're working for one of these big box companies, Rich is been so nice to say that he will do a personal one-on-one interview, discuss his company privately with you. You can call him at 858-412-7870. You can call him again at 858-412-7870, and you can discuss coming into the real estate world, becoming a realtor, or if you are an existing realtor and you're just kind of frustrated with the company you're with, Rich will take your call and he'll set up an interview with you. But let's go back to this. So, Rich, you had to have a lot of naysayers when you guys started Windermere Homes and Estates 27 months ago?
We were coming off a few years where things were really difficult, and people say, "Are you crazy? You want to start a real estate company?" We didn't want to do one office. We wanted to become a player. We wanted to serve a bigger, broader base of agents. We have 350 agents now. Bottom line,
what's your rolling? How much are you going to do? What's your rolling sales average?
Right now, we hit the $1 billion mark a couple of months back.
Wow.
And that was really great. I mean, that in 2 years to hit $1 billion in sales was excellent. But who makes those sales? Realtors.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
And so having the people that we do is what propels us. And so our mission in life basically is to just provide agents with what they need and give them a positive environment, give them a positive, pretty nice professional space to do their jobs in, and then support every aspect of the business.
Oh, we're going to talk about the spaces, because the spaces you guys have, we've talked about on the show before, is so agent centric. It's like walking into an Apple store. It's so unbelievable. I love going into your offices. I'll just drive around a lot of times, and I'll just stop into different one of your offices just because I love how you've designed your offices. And I know that you had a really big part of that. So $1 billion in sales in 2 years. I don't think there's been any other startup, and I'm going to use the word startup because that's kind of you and Brian did this basically as a startup.
Correct. That
has grown that quickly, that fast, without being a big box name.
Yeah, we're not a big box. Windermere is a boutique company out of the Pacific Northwest. They do have 300 offices. There's 8,000 agents throughout the network, but it is more of a boutique company, and that's why we chose them. Non-corporate. A company that would allow us to develop and be entrepreneurial. We pride ourselves on being honest and ethical and helping agents behave the most appropriate way to be able to make transactions the best they can be for clients. But it was a pretty easy decision for us. We had a previous history with the company, and we knew the guys, we knew the owners, which is a family-run business up in the Northwest. And it was a good fit for us. And I think what's happened is, some of the big box, as you say, they get big, and it's tough for them to relate to agents, on that one-on-one level. Sometimes they have to build systems for thousands and thousands of people. And so when things change, which, as you know, with technology and the way consumers are educated today, the way they look for houses, you've really got to be nimble. And so I think this was important for us to be able to be nimble, and that's part of the decision we made to go with this brand.
I mean, it's so far it's been a great decision, I would say. I mean, $1 billion in sales in less than 2 years. I mean, that tells you that you've got some top realtors, and we know that my co-host Dan Beer has aligned himself with you, and he could basically, he could go anywhere, right?
Yeah. Dan is number one in the company,
right.
And he has been since we started the company. So he's been great.
But he can go. But he literally could go anywhere, and he has chosen to work with you guys, which is pretty amazing to me, and I'm pretty fired up about. Dan and I get fired up about it, and you've also picked Home Street as affiliation that that you allow us to have loan officers sitting in your offices, and
well, it's worked out tremendously well, and the people that you have are fabulous and do a great job for ours.
Well, I think they're fabulous because they work for me, right? so one of the cool things is that Rich Johnson, we're going to talk more about real estate and talk more about Windermere after the break, but one of the great things he's willing to do is if you are thinking about getting into the real estate market, Windermere does have you guys have a school, right? A real estate school.
We do.
So you want new agents. That's one of the things that's important to you. If you are an existing agent and you're unhappy with the big box and you want more of an agent-centric kind of real estate company, then you need to be talking to Rich Johnson. I can't stress that enough. He's going to take your call this Sunday morning at 858-412-7870. Again, 858-412-7870. And when we come back, we're going to talk more Windermere, what's going on in the marketplace. Rich has got numbers for us. And thank you for joining us. This is Real Estate Exposed, KOGO 600 AM. Good morning, San Diego, on this beautiful Sunday morning. Back here on Real Estate Exposed with Dan Beer from Windermere Homes and Estates and Todd Pianin from Home Street Bank. Dan is on vacation this week, so we have got the fortunate opportunity to have Rich Johnson, one of the founders and owners of Windermere Homes and Estates, the brokerage firm that Dan Beer actually has partnered with, I would say. And we are so fortunate to have him here. And before the break, we were talking about, how killer your offices are and what, you have a real estate school. And if, people are interested in a change and being more agent-centric is what I would use. Agent-friendly would be what I would use. That's your company versus some of the big box companies. But now we're going to go in a different direction. We're going to talk about what the heck is going on in the real estate market, because you see more transactions than Dan and I see. So where are we at, Rich?
It's good.
It's good?
It's good. I mean, I think that, we just ended the third quarter of the year. I think that all the indicators are pointing to a really, healthy market. I think, we have a little fluctuation here and there, but overall, the tempo is, healthy. We've got a lot of good omens out there. And, we're kind of in right now a little bit of seasonal cooling.
So you believe in this seasonal cooling?
Yeah, I mean, it's, it happens every year at this time.
Dan doesn't believe in the seasonal cooling.
Well, because Dan's different. Dan doesn't have to cool.
Dan never cools.
But he's not the norm. And it is, a fact that every year about this time, you get through summer and you start to get into fall and you see things slow up a bit. December is always actually a good month for closings.
Right.
Which means November is typically a good month for activity.
Right.
People are out there showing and buying and things like that. But, we're in October and things have, I think there's a few less buyers out there right now just because. But I think that overall, things are very healthy.
So county-wide, I mean, Dan and I always talk about inventory levels. Are we up on inventory levels? I mean, we've been tracking roughly about 2 months worth of inventory on the market.
Yeah.
Are we still tracking in those, in those numbers?
No, inventory is still very low, and it depends on the area. But overall, I was just looking at some numbers, and the 1 year change in overall homes for sale is. We're down 23.3%.
That's a big number, Rich.
It's a huge number.
Wow.
So there are not a lot of homes for sale out there. There are, it depends on where you go, which neighborhoods you're talking about.
Right.
But, I think that, what we were talking about earlier is the typical, we've got a couple of months, 2.3, 2.5 in most areas.
Right.
In the higher end, like La Jolla, it's 6.5 months.
So that's more of a healthy market.
That's, it's definitely healthy. And I think that.
But when you're over, Dan and I talk about on the show, if you're over 6 months of inventory, that's more of a healthy kind of market.
Yeah. I mean, that's, we haven't seen those kinds of inventory levels in years.
Right.
So they're a bit aberrational for us right now.
Got it. Clear. So what's your well, let's talk Turkey for a second, Rich. Yeah. How many offices do you have right now?
We've got 9 offices in San Diego, and we just opened up our first office out in the Coachella Valley in Palm Desert. So we have 10 altogether.
You have 10 offices. You opened up in the desert?
We did.
Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you. About 3 weeks ago, our first Palm Desert office opened. We intend to open 2 or 3 more out there in the coming year. There's a great opportunity in the desert. I think that one of the things that's interesting is what a differential there is now in price between San Diego County and the desert.
How big's the differential?
It's big. I mean, as we were in, let's say, go back to 2006.
Right.
That differential had become much smaller. Prices in the desert had risen quite a bit.
Right.
You go out there now,
right.
You can buy a palace for $500,000.
Wow.
So, a lot of that, I think that second home market out there is really going to explode again because the value is there.
Well, and interest rates are so low right now too for people and with the ability of VRBO and everything else, right?
Yes.
People can actually make money on these properties.
Yeah, absolutely. It's very, very interesting. And I think, what's really cool is that Palm Springs has experienced such a resurgence out there now. It is the hot market out there.
Yep.
And so we eventually, in the next few months, hope to have an office in Palm Springs. And
So let me ask a question.
Yeah.
Again, agent-centric company, Windermere Homes and Estates. No one, I mean, I know that your partner, Brian Gooding, had spent some time out in the desert and had some relationships. I'm assuming that when this office opened, you opened a little office. You probably had 2 or 3 people join the company?
we have 30 agents now.
30 agents, and you opened how long ago?
I think we opened about 3 weeks ago.
That tells you people that 30 agents 3 weeks ago joined a brand new company in the desert that is run by you and Brian. And that tells me to tell you, as our listeners, that you need to be calling Rich if you're thinking about getting into real estate or you are an existing realtor. You need to call Rich and get a private interview one-on-one and let him tell you why. Within 3 weeks, they brought on 30 agents. Well, 858, I'm giving out your number.
Okay.
858-412-7870. Again, there's a reason why. 858-412-7870. Sorry, Rich, you were going to...
No, I was just going to say, a lot of the credit has to go to my partner, Brian Gooding. Brian lived and worked in the desert for 15 years. He's got a lot of connections there, a lot of history there. He's a known quantity there. So when people found out he was coming back and we were opening there, I mean, it was really good. I mean, a lot of people wanted to...
But agent-centric. These are people who are leaving other companies.
Yeah.
Could be big box companies. We're not going to talk about where they came from.
Right.
We're going to talk about 3 weeks, 30 agents.
Yeah.
That's it's like almost 1.25 agent a day since you opened the doors.
Yeah, and our location didn't hurt us. We're right on El Paseo in the heart of Palm Desert there.
Oh, my wife loves that street.
It is the Rodeo Drive of the desert, and we have a fabulous office location there, so that didn't hurt either. But, again, agent centricity, yes, we really feel like it is a partnership, and you mentioned Dan the other, as choosing to work with Windermere could go anywhere. It is a partnership, and so agents stay with us or they want to join us because we create a partnership that works, and and that's what we try to do.
So where are the other 9 offices, Rich?
The other 9 offices we have 2 in Rancho Bernardo, we have 1 in Scripps Ranch, La Jolla, Del Mar, Carlsbad, Fallbrook, and Santa Luz, our original office. So
you basically cover pretty much the county. I mean, there's some areas or pockets, East County and some other places.
We're more. Oh, I left one out too. We recently opened an office in Alpine, believe it or not.
So if you're an Alpine agent, you can call them too. But I mean, it seems to me you've got a pretty wide breadth of opportunity. If you haven't been to a Windermere Homes and Estates office, you're missing out, because I have to tell you, these offices are designed differently. They're run differently. I mean, you don't have, I mean this in the best case possible, the best way possible, but the old school big box real estate offices are lots of square footage. They got a manager in the office who manages the people, who supposedly that's their job. And you guys don't kind of do it that way.
No, I mean, the old offices typically were built with lots of cubicles and things like that. We don't believe in that. What we believe in is really 3 things. We believe in building offices that are friendly to agents and friendly to the public. Offices that encourage collaboration. So open space, lots of glass, windows, and then third, progressive technology.
Well, you and I are tech geeks, right? So
yes.
I always love when Rich gives out his little tech. When I get the fortunate ability to be able to go to one of Rich's meetings when he speaks, he always throws out a little tech surprise, and I always put it on my phone. So what I would say to you people, what I would say to you is, if you're interested in speaking with Rich, working in one of these offices, I personally would give him a call, 858-412-7870. I mean, let's talk about growth. Let's talk about, in the last 3 weeks, he brought on 30 new agents. Him and Brian brought on 30 new agents in the desert. Again, 858-412-7870. It seems like he's got the whole county covered, so they've got a real estate school. You got to look at these offices. I mean, they're so inviting. It's such a great place to work, and the agents that work there are awesome. So this is Real Estate Exposed, KOGO 600 AM. We'll come back right after the break, and we'll have more with Rich Johnson. Good morning, San Diego. This is Real Estate Exposed with Todd Pianin from Home Street Bank and Dan Beer from Windermere Homes and Estates. Dan is away today on vacation. He wanted that extra hour for daylight savings time to enjoy his vacation a little further. But we have one of the broker founders of Windermere Homes and Estates in the house this morning, who's my co-host, and I can't tell you how excited I am. It's basically, I hate to say it, but you're kind of like Dan's boss.
Well, don't tell Dan that.
Yeah,
No,
well,
I'm Dan's collaborator.
Well, that's true. You see how Rich does that, people. You see how Rich talks about his agents. He doesn't say, "I'm your boss." I guarantee you, if you're working right now for one of the big box companies, I guarantee you that someone's huffing and puffing at one of their sales meetings, or maybe even on a boat they're going to take you on and tell you how great they are. That's what happens. I don't see that happening at Windermere Homes and Estates. So happy to have Rich in the studio today.
Thank you, Todd.
So, Rich, anything else you can tell us about what's going on in the marketplace that we should be that our listeners should be, mindful of?
There's some interesting stats. If you like stats, the overall median sales price was up almost 6%, $459,000 now. The property type with the largest price gain was in condos and townhomes. Prices increased almost 7% in that market to $340,000. The price range that tended to sell the quickest, what do you think it is?
First-time home buyer market, probably.
And it's actually the $500 to $750 price range.
Wow.
37 days. That's quick.
That's quick.
And that's very quick. And what do you think the price range that tended to sell the slowest, obviously?
Over $1 million.
Over $1 million. $1,250,000 or more, which still is at a very quick 65 days.
That's still pretty good.
That's still really good.
I mean, I've said it on the show, Rich, and I don't know if you believe it, but I think next year you're going to see this $1 million to $2 million range is going to start kicking in, and we're going to see a lot more of the bigger ticket items going to sell.
Yeah, I think there's a lot more activity that we're going to see. I agree with that. The home size with the strongest pending sales, 2,000 to 3,000 square feet.
Family homes.
That was up 13%.
Wow.
And the property type with the strongest pending sales are condos and townhomes again.
Right.
Up almost 12%. So, even though inventory is down and it's a little slow right now in some areas, some zip codes, it's still very healthy. And overall, I think going into 2016 now, we're going to see a good year. We're going to see things continue to be stable. And, we still haven't had that interest rate hike, right?
Right. Well, I mean,
So
Yellen kind of spoke a little bit about it, that she may raise interest rates in December. And I think it was just more of a trader move. And we saw we've seen interest rates pop up this week pretty dramatically. I think it's an oversold situation. But again, I talked to, I've talked to multiple financial people, and we all believe that interest rates aren't going to be rising anytime soon. I think that we are in an upward moving interest rate environment. We're not going to see the lows that we've seen in the past,
right?
But I think that we're going to start seeing some slow raising, and we have seen some slow raising. If you went to our home seller seminar that Dan and I put on 2 weeks ago, we talked about all this, and we've missed the lows. In my opinion, the lows are gone.
Yeah. But they're still historically,
you can get an interest rate with a 3 in front of it or a 4 in front of it. You should be doing a dance.
Yeah.
Is basically what I was saying. At Home Street Bank, we have full gambit of product. I mean, we are a direct lender. We are a bank. So give my partner I a call at the office, 858-259-4014. Our number is 858-259-4014. Only time I'm going to plug myself on the show. So.
Well, I will say this, that, as a realtor and somebody who's, involved in selling homes, the loan is the backbone of the transaction. I've said this forever. Without a good lender, you're really making a big mistake. And you and your team are the best, and that's why we've chosen you guys. And it makes a huge difference, getting a smooth transaction done, especially now with the new TRID guidelines that we've got in place.
Yeah, I mean, we love being part of a real bank. I mean, Home Street Bank is like, it's a monster. I mean, I don't mean it in a bad way, but they run it like a small mortgage company, so it's really kind of cool. So we spent this Sunday talking with you about how unbelievable it is to work for Windermere Homes and Estates, how unbelievable the story behind what happened, how Rich and Brian got together and, turned a idea into a $1 billion reality, in less than 2 years, which is
right at 2 years,
which is remarkable, though, Rich. It's remarkable, and I don't know how else to put it. And if you are working for a big box company, and Rich has, there's no way that Rich and Brian have not been able to grow their company without talking to other people who are at big box companies or thinking about getting into real estate, because he does offer a real estate school. You should call Rich, 858-412-7870. He will have a one-on-one interview with you. Again, 858-412-7870. Rich, I don't know how you're going to enjoy the rest of your Sunday, but I'm going to. I really enjoyed this extra hour. I also enjoyed my time with you, and thank you so much for coming in today.
Thank you, and go Chargers.
Go Chargers. We want to see the Chargers come on. We want to see the stadium come back. So what I have to say to you guys is next Sunday we will be back with my boy Dan Beer. He will be in the house with me and you, and we will be able to talk more real estate, and super excited. I'm Todd Pianin from Home Street Bank, a member of the FDIC Equal Housing Lender, NMLS ID number 304014. Can't wait to see you next Sunday. You have a great weekend. Hope you enjoyed the extra hour of sleep.